Wow, now that I'm here on YouTube, I have all the time in the world. We could just take a few minutes and stare longingly at each other. No, that's creepy. Let's stop doing that. Hey there, my name is Jason and welcome back to my channel. I've always wanted to say that. One of the questions I get asked all the time on my TikTok lives is what books got me into reading? What started this obsession with books? So today I thought it'd be fun to show you some of the books that have started my love of reading through different phases of my life. I credit each of these books with being really special to my current love of reading, just at a different time period and under different circumstances. Like one book might be the book my mom read me when I was little. The other might be a book that got me through my time in an interdimensional prison. You don't know, I could have gone to interdimensional prison for eating too many cookies. Let's get started. So first and foremost, I do want to start with the book that my mom used to read to me before bed, but this is a little unconventional, so just go with me, okay? When I was little, my mom used to read Jurassic Park to me before bed a little bit every single night. Now, did I understand all of the science? Absolutely not. But did I love all the dinosaurs? Absolutely yes. I do think the fact that my mom read this to me when I was little did get me started reading more grown-up books earlier in my life. Like one time in middle school, my teacher had to call my mom because I was reading a James Patterson book in class, and she was concerned. Honestly, looking back, I'm a little concerned. What was my mom thinking? Honestly, I think the book was called Cat and Mouse, and I somehow convinced her that it was about a cat and a mouse. Jurassic Park also started an obsession of mine with science fiction, dinosaurs, and just overall like realistic fantasy stories. So thanks, Mom. Now, one book that I did read as a kid that I really remember as one of the first books I ever reread was The Phantom Tollbooth. This is a totally whimsical story. A lot of people have read it. Even if you're an adult and you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. It is so much fun. It has so many good life lessons in it. And it's just like really zany and kooky. If you like stuff like Alice in Wonderland, you're gonna like this one. Also, the main character is named Milo. My cat as a kid was named Milo. There's not really a connection because I named my cat after the movie Milo and Otis, which later turned out was about animal abuse, but that's not the point. The point is Milo. See, as a kid, I felt connected. So let's flash forward a little bit. I think for a lot of us in high school, there's so many books you're asked to read on a constant basis that sometimes reading can kind of lose its fun. Not for everyone, but I know that there are people out there like me who are like, oh my God, I can't read another book. I have to read 98 books for my English class. Like, do not give me another book to read. As soon as I got more into like college and post-college, I decided it was time to pick up another book. And I had heard about a book that people said I would really like because I love video games, I love nerdy things. Enter Ready Player One. Now, I know a lot of people have very different opinions on this book, but the first time I read it, I absolutely loved it. Nowadays, there's a genre called lit RPG, which is actually books taking place in video game worlds, and this was my first foray into that. This is like really light lit RPG, but I absolutely love the lit RPG genre, and I definitely blame this book for it. This book also got me back into being excited about books and excited about reading, and made me say, you know what, I want to keep reading because this is a lot of fun. I think the great thing about this book is, let's say you're a Marvel movie fan, or just like an action movie fan, and you want to get into reading, but sometimes big, heavy, like fantasy or sci-fi books can be a little intimidating. This is such a great gateway into that if you're already a fan of just like tons of fun and action and summer and you're eating popcorn and watching the movie and there's explosions. That is this book right here. I definitely remember a time in my life before I got into reading and after I got into reading. And there's one book that really sticks out in my mind as soon as I read it, that was what started me reading like a book every week or like constantly reading a book. There was before where I'd read like a book every couple of months, and then there was after where I'd just like always needed to be reading. And that book is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I don't know that I can really say anything about this book that hasn't already been said, but this book is absolutely brilliant. It is historical fiction. It is historical fantasy fiction. It's got an amazing story. If you like stories that have a lot of pieces that don't really seem to have any sort of connection and then slowly start to weave themselves together, you will like this book. It's like the historical fantasy version of Love Actually. It's a terrible comparison. You'll watch as two magicians compete with each other even without knowing each other. And they're not competing in this like way that we normally see magicians and wizards compete where they're like fighting against each other. They're competing by creating just like stunning works of magic, which I just think is so cool. It's so unique. It's also standalone. I think a lot of times with fantasy, people get a little intimidated because they're like, I'd like to read fantasy. Oh, that series has 98 books. Maybe I'll not do that. This is standalone, so you can definitely just read it and enjoy it. It has a very definitive beginning, middle, and end. And last but not least, in the past couple of years, I've really gotten into high fantasy, a more adult fantasy, and there's definitely a book I credit with starting that obsession, and that is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. Now, this is the start of a trilogy. There are actually two separate series in the Mistborn universe using this magic system, but the original trilogy is just absolutely fantastic. This is also the book that started my love of Brandon Sanderson, who I can now easily say is my favorite author. Mistborn involves one of the most unique and just really well put together magic systems I've ever encountered in a book. It also does that trope of a group of kind of renegades getting together to overthrow a government really, really, really well. In fact, I would argue I don't think I've found a book that does it better yet. It's also a book full of really memorable characters, and something I love about this book and Brandon Sanderson is he's not afraid to get a little messy with his characters, even so far as killing off favorites. So there you go. Those are some of the books that have gotten me into reading, gotten me excited about reading over the years, but I would love to know what books have gotten you excited about reading, so make sure to let me know what they are in the comments. I'm still learning a whole lot about this whole YouTube thing, so I guess like the thing and subscribe to the thing and turn on the thing with the thing. I don't know. I'm just really glad you're all here. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful week and happy reading.